semester that mainly talk about morality, racism, adventure, and other topics that we're going to see while we talk. And we are starting with Alfredo's book.
Oh, the book I read what is called Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton. The plot focuses in off the coast of Costa Rica in an island called Isla Nublar. The whole plot is about how a big corporation called InGen tries to recreate dinosaurs of the DNA of those dinosaurs carrying amber from trees, fossilized amber. But after the leading researcher of technology in InGen goes berserk and tries to sell some of those dinosaurs off to another company, the dinosaurs break loose when he tries to steal them, but they escape. He dies, and eventually all the dinosaurs in the park are able to escape because the security is down. So the whole plot is how the researchers try to survive and find a way to stop those dinosaurs from expanding into the whole continent.
What do you think is the main message that this book delivers to its readers?
Well, the book is a very well-known book. One of the best messages that Crichton tries to deliver is the potential danger that technology brings to society after how society depends fully upon technology, how the autonomy of civilization is, well, depends fully on technology.
And what did you like most about the book?
Well, besides from it being a very well-known book, it has also been made into movies. The messages that it delivers brings, well, a whole new meaning to technology to me because I use it a lot. So, making me think to be autonomous and fully like prisoner of technology is not something I would like to do or be.
We're continuing with Diego's book.
Alright, I've been reading a book called My Life in the Beautiful Game, which is an autobiography by Edson Arantes do Nascimento, also known as Pelé. And it's basically the story of his life, but centered in his football career. He was born in a small town in Brazil called Tres Corazones, Brazil. And he started his career playing in his dad's team. His dad was a professional football player when he was younger. And he right away noticed that his son, Edson, was very skilled and very talented in the sport. He knew what he was doing. So he got him a spot in a very popular team in his town, where he was rejected right away because the coaches didn't believe he was good enough. So he didn't give up. He continued practicing with his dad, and 1 year later he tried to play in an even better team, where he was not only accepted but asked to represent the whole Brazilian nation in the World Cup, in which he scored a few goals and even became the youngest world champion in football history. After this event, he was already known worldwide. Fame was huge for him, and well, he continued playing other World Cups and in great teams. He scored over 1,000 goals in his career. And the message the book delivers is pretty much about perseverance, because he was rejected at a very early age, in which people are very vulnerable, and most people would have just given up their dreams and decided to get another job or something, but he didn't give up and fought for what his heart told him, which was playing football, and he became the most successful football player ever.
So, what are the differences between joining a team, soccer team, back then and joining a team right now?
Well, back then it was
in the 20th century.
Yeah, it was basically about only being good. If you were good at playing the sport, you were in. And nowadays, football is pretty much a business in which if you're not liked by the managers or by the coaches, you won't make it no matter how good you are. So that is the main difference, that it used to be about the love for the sport, and now it's pretty much about making money.
Do you think that the fact that you're a soccer player too made you relate to the
Yes, because I've some of the anecdotes or experiences that Pele had, I've lived them in certain ways. I was also rejected more than once, and I've also been accepted in good teams, so I could relate very closely to this guy.
So now we're continuing with Renata's book.
This semester I read a book called The Odyssey that was a tale told since 700 before Christ by a Greek storyteller called Homer. And it's about a soldier called Odysseus that is coming back home from the war at Troy. And he begins a 10-year journey to return home to his wife Penelope and his boy in Ithaca. And well, the story is about how Odysseus shows what perseverance can endure and how one grows as a person through his experiences. And well, it's about him getting back home with greedy sailors that went with him to war and how they stumble upon several mythical creatures that he has to fight and use his intelligence to overcome certain obstacles that he stumbles upon the way. And well, this story is very interesting because it's written in epic poem and it's divided into 24 sections that each section talks about a different creature and a different myth. And well, it talks about how Odysseus didn't quit after all the temptations that he found along the way home.
What is the main thing that you, as a reader, learned through this book?
As a reader, I learned that, well, how someone can grow throughout all the experiences they have, and well, how the way they see life like changes a lot.
Would you recommend this book to other readers?
Yeah, because it's a really interesting story. Besides the fact that it has a lot of folk tales of the Greek mythology.
I've heard it is indeed a very interesting and different book. What made you decide to pick this book for the semester?
Well, I heard about Greek mythology before, so I thought it was going to be an interesting book because of all the tales that it included.
I have a question. Why do you think that this book that was written so long ago is still read on our times?
Well, I think because it has so much of Greek history in it, because it includes a lot of actual historical facts, like the War of Troy, and it includes a lot of its culture too because of the folk tales. So that's kind of a cool thing to see nowadays.
Okay. So we're continuing with your book, Sophie.
Well, through the semester, I read a book called The Picture of Dorian Gray, which was published in 1891, I believe, and it was written by the famous playwright Oscar Wilde. This book is considered one of the best examples of philosophical novels because of the message that it entails, and it is also one of the representatives of the aesthetic principle that characterized the Victorian era, which stated that art has no other purpose other than being art. It carries no other message that it shouldn't influence directly its readers. The novel presents a critique made by Wilde towards society, and by the literary critics of the 19th century, this novel was praised to be something that reflected Wilde's disregard towards morality and decency. This novel is set in the city of London amidst the 19th century, and it tells a story about this young and beautiful man that becomes aware of how his main and most popular attributes, these being youth and beauty, are fleeting and that they will eventually go away. So he becomes obsessed with this idea of becoming young forever, and he wishes that a portrait that was made of him by one of his closest friends would age instead of him, and he gives his soul to be able to do this. And so he becomes immortal for a period of time, and he surrenders to this life of lack of morality, and he gives himself to pleasures and commits multiple homicides and just sees his own soul go putrid and go wrong, and he eventually realizes the fact that of his own damnation and attempts to stab the portrait, and he eventually ends up killing himself.
Would you say it's one of Wilde's best books?
I would think so, because it's a message that it portrays about how society is really superficial and how we give too much attention to things that aren't really important, such as beauty.
Anyone else have a question? Okay, so now we have little time left, so I'm going to talk about my book that was called Waiting for the Rain, written by Sheila Gordon in 1987. And it talks about two boys, an African American boy named Tango and a white boy named Freaky, that both live in Africa, and they spend their time together in the white boy and Freaky's uncle's farm, but only on holidays, because that's the time when Freaky gets to visit Tango. And they learn about swimming. They learn to milk cows and other stuff, and their friendship is really strong until life gives them things to think about. Like the book starts when Tango and Freaky are 10 years old, and they start to grow up, and they start to realize that there's racial segregation in Africa, and how Tango cannot do the same things as Freaky, because he cannot have an education, and he cannot like move so freely to a city and all that. And well, the plot is about when Tango finally gets to the opportunity to get an education. Well, he learns about the apartheid, that it's a segregational system, and well, they start to grow apart. Anyone has questions? Okay, so now this is the end of the book club meeting. Thank you